Okay, welcome back guys, and welcome to Class PM. And in this video we will discuss about what is pyramid and what are the different types of the pyramids. In the previous videos we have discussed about what is the flow of energy, what is energy flow, and how energy flows from low tropic level to the high tropic level, and all other aspects regarding the energy flow and different aspects of the environment we have discussed in the previous videos. In this video, we will discuss about the representation of the energy in the environment, how it can be diagrammatically represented, and these are collectively called as ecological pyramids. So what are ecological pyramids? These are the representations in graphical representation. Graphical representation is which shows you the flow of the energy from one organism to another organism, or the flow of the energy from one tropic level to the other tropic level. How these can be graphically represented, we will discuss in this very video. So firstly, the pyramid. What is pyramid? The pyramid is the graphical representation which shows the flow of the energy from one organism or from one tropic level to the other tropic level, or from one organism to the other organism. This is the ecological pyramid. There are different types of the ecological pyramids, and remember one thing, that ecological pyramid may be erected or may be inverted. It may be erected and may be inverted. Graphical representation is shown as a triangular shape. It is just like a triangular shape. It is just like this. This is the graphical representation. It is a erected pyramid which shows you the graphical representation, which shows you the transfer of the energy, which shows you the unique flow of the transfer of the energy, the unidirectional flow of the energy in the environment, how the energy is transferred from one tropic level to another tropic level. This is represented briefly. This is represented graphically in this in the tropic level. So I will explain it to you guys that what is tropic level. Okay, the ecological pyramid is the representation which shows you the flow of energy from one organism to another. So I was here that the ecological pyramid, this pyramid is represented as a triangular shape, in which there is a broad base end and narrow pointed. As we move from low point to high point, low tropic level to high tropic level, it gets narrowed. So we divide this like this. See here. So this would be one tropic level, next tropic level, next tropic level, and final tropic level. So this is the graphic representation of the flow of energy from one tropic level to the another tropic level. So let me discuss you in the one by one how many tropic levels are there, and how many tropic levels may be there, and how the energy is transferred from one tropic level to other tropic level, and accordingly how different types of the pyramids are there which exists in the nature. So first and foremost is the pyramid of number. Pyramid of number means simply that how the number of the organisms at successive tropic level. Number of the organisms in this tropic level, number of the organisms in this tropic level, number of the organisms which exist in this tropic level, and number of the organisms in this very tropic level. Simply this tells you the concept of the flow of the pyramid of number. So I will explain it here. Suppose this is pyramid. This is a pyramid. This would be the first tropic level. First tropic level. This would be the second tropic level. Second tropic level. This would be the third tropic level. Third tropic level. And this would be the fourth tropic level. Fourth tropic level. So this is the pyramid, and this is the different levels, different tropic level in the pyramid. See here, I will put it here, producers, because the flow of energy is from low tropic level to high tropic level. It is always unidirectional. I will explain it with that respect. So this is the autotrophs. So this is the primary consumers. This is the secondary consumers. This is the third consumer, tertiary consumer, and this is the top consumer on the fifth tropic level. On the fifth tropic level, there are the top consumers. So here the autotrophs are there at the bottom. Next to autotrophs simply are the consumers, and among the consumers there would be the first primary consumer, then there would be secondary consumer, and there would be tertiary consumer, and finally there will be the top consumer. This is how the a pyramid is being constructed. So according to the pyramid of number, how much number of the living organisms are there at successive tropic level? At each tropic level, how much number of the living organisms are there? This is called the tropic pyramid of number. So pyramid of number, if we see, the autotrophs, that is producers, are numerous in number, so it is very broad. So those organisms I have explained in the previous videos. As we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, number of the organisms are decreased. Please remember that sentence is very important. As we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, the number of the organisms are decreased. So here the autotrophs are there. Suppose here producers are there. The number of producers would be very, very high compared to the primary consumers. It means that number of primary consumers would be less compared to the autotrophs. So as we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, the number has decreased. As we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, number of living organisms is decreased. So this is the sentence. As we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, the number of the living organisms is decreased at successive tropic level. So number of the autotrophs, number of the producers would be high, and number of the primary consumers would be less compared to autotrophs. Number of the secondary consumers would be less to the primary consumers. Number of the tertiary consumers would be less to the compared to secondary consumers, and number of top consumers would be less compared to the tertiary consumer. As we move from low tropic level to high tropic level, this number of the organisms are getting lesser and lesser. So this is the pyramid of number. So pyramid becomes erected. So pyramid is erected. Pyramid is erected. Please understand that pyramid can be like this, erected, but pyramid can also be like this, inverted. So where it is inverted pyramid occurs, I will explain it there. But please remember, pyramid cannot be always erected. Pyramid can be erected, but pyramid can also be inverted as well. In some cases, pyramid is always erected, but in some cases, pyramid can be inverted. So where the pyramid is always erected, I will explain it, but mostly the pyramid is erected, not in all cases. All cases, pyramid may be erected or may not be erected. It may be inverted as well. So here the pyramid is erected. So it is constructed on the base of this pyramid. Pyramid of number is constructed on the base of the number of the organisms at a particular tropic level. And as we move, as we have seen, as we move from low tropic level to the high tropic level, the number of the organisms are decreased at each successive tropic level. So it means that at the top consumers would be top fifth tropic level. At the final tropic level, the number would be less, and at the bottom of the pyramid, at the first tropic level, the numbers would be very, very high. So in case of erected pyramid. So this is about the tropic pyramid of number. Please remember, the number here means that number of individuals at each tropic level. Number of individuals in first tropic level would be high. In the second tropic level, it would be less compared to the first tropic level. And in the second, it would be less compared to the primary consumer level and this first tropic level. And in the third tropic level, it would be less compared to the second tropic level and first tropic level. And in the last tropic level, final tropic level, it would be less compared to the rest of the tropic levels. So this concludes your tropic pyramid of number. Next in the picture is pyramid of biomass. Pyramid of biomass. So guys, what is pyramid of biomass? What is actually biomass? First evaluation biomass. The biomass is the organic material. Biomass is the organic material which is of biological origin. It is the type of animal material or the plant material that can be actually converted into the energy. It is a material. It can be plant in origin. It can be any biological origin. And this material this biological material can be converted into the energy, and according to the mass mass of the living organism at the tropic level, the different pyramid can be constructed on the base of the mass of the living organism, and on the base of the mass of the living thing, the pyramid can be constructed. I will give you two examples here. First, in the case of the biomass of pond ecosystem, this is the biomass of pond ecosystem. See here, pond, how this could be explained better way. Pond biomass of, if we see in the pond at the bottom level, that is the first tropic level. If we move from bottom to the top, we are moving from low tropic level to high tropic level. See here, at the bottom of the pond is present phytoplanktons, which feeds upon the small grasses present at the bottom of the pond. So these are literally, their mass would be negligible. Their mass will be negligible. Their biomass will be negligible because they are very less small, very minute. Phytoplanktons, very minute, very small. They feed upon small grasses, small plants which are present there in the bottom of the pond. And next in the line, these phytoplanktons in turn are being eaten by zooplanktons. So these zooplanktons eat upon these phytoplanktons. So these are phytoplanktons, so plants and these zooplanktons feed upon these phytoplanktons. The mass of zooplanktons would be larger than phytoplanktons. So if we see these zooplanktons, and these zooplanktons are being eaten by small fishes. So these zooplanktons are being eaten by small fishes, and these small fishes in turn are being eaten by large fishes. So this is the pyramid. But this pyramid is not erected. This is inverted. If you see the opposite of this structure, this is like this. So this is an inverted pyramid. So in this case, it's in pond ecosystem. So pyramid of biomass in case of pond ecosystem. Please remember this sentence is very important. Pyramid of biomass in pond ecosystem is inverted. Pyramid of biomass in pond ecosystem is inverted. Otherwise, it may be in pond ecosystem. Pyramid of biomass of pond ecosystem is inverted, not in other types. Only pond ecosystem, in not other ecosystems. In other ecosystem, it is simply erected. It means that you are seeing the autotrophs, then primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer, then top consumer. So you will see the biomass of the autotrophs is higher compared to the primary consumer. Biomass of the primary consumer would be higher than secondary consumer, and the biomass of secondary consumer would be higher than the tertiary consumer, and the mass of the tertiary consumer is higher than the top consumer. So it is simply the erected. The biomass of the autotrophs producers is higher than primary consumer, then secondary consumer, and then tertiary consumer, and finally the top consumer. So pyramid is erected. Pyramid is based on erected, broad at the bottom and narrow at the top. Narrow means that low, and bottom is bottom is broad. It means the high. So high to low. So in case pyramid of biomass is always erected, but the pyramid of biomass can also be inverted, such as in the example of the pond ecosystem, biomass of the pond ecosystem. In case of the pond ecosystem, the pyramid is inverted. The phytoplanktons are being eaten by zooplanktons. Then zooplanktons are eaten by these small fishes, and these small fishes are being finally eaten by the large fishes. And this gives you the pyramid, which is an inverted shape. And this means that in this case, the pyramid is inverted. So with this, we have explained the pyramid of number and pyramid of biomass. The next in the line is the pyramid of energy. What is pyramid of energy? So pyramid of energy is already being explained here in the previous topics when I was discussing the 10% law of energy. So I will give you again a brief this account about the pyramid energy. Pyramid of energy means that at the particular tropic level, the energy which is available at each particular tropic level, simply amount of energy available to the organisms at each tropic level is, the pyramid of energy. Simply, if you see the producers, and next in the line from the producer is the primary consumer, then the secondary consumer, then the tertiary consumer, then the top consumer. So the energy which is maximum amount of energy is available to the producer, and if you see less amount of energy is available from producer to the less amount of energy is available to the primary consumer compared to the producer. See, I will draw it with the help of the diagram. First and foremost thing, please remember that pyramid of energy is always upright. This is the universal truth. This is the universal truth that pyramid of energy is always upright. It cannot be inverted at all. It can never be the inverted at all. You can see here, this is the first tropic level, this is the second tropic level, this is the third tropic level, and this is the fourth tropic level, and this is the fifth tropic level. You will see here the first tropic level. This is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, and the fifth tropic. You will see here the autotrophs, that is producers. This is the primary consumers. This is the secondary consumers. This is the tertiary consumers. This is the top consumers. Simply, this is the representation as far as pyramid of energy is concerned. The amount of energy would be highly available to the producer. 1% of, no doubt, 1% of the total sunlight is being absorbed by the producers. Suppose it has, 10,000 joules. 10,000 joules is available for the producer. And 10,000 or 1 lakh joule was present there. And out of 1 lakh, 10,000 joules were being utilized by the producer. And now it has a 10,000 joules, maximum amount of energy. But see the primary consumer, when they eat upon the producers, 10,000 joules are there in the autotrophs, no doubt, in the producers, no doubt. But when they will be utilized by the primary consumer, after utilizing these producers, after eating of the producers, after eating the plants, the most of the energy will be dissipated either as a heat, or they would be utilized by the primary consumer for other body activities, for other metabolic activities. So most of the energy would be lost. Most of the energy would be utilized. And see, out of 10,000, 1,000 joules are now available in the primary consumer. After it has, consumed 10,000 joules, but most of the energy is being utilized. Now only 1,000 joules is present in this primary consumer. So please compare this. Producers had 10,000 joules, and now primary consumers have only 10 joules, only 1,000 joules. Now the secondary consumer will come, and secondary consumer will feed on the primary consumer. And when they feeds upon the primary consumer during the consuming, when they consume the primary consumer, then what happens? Out of 1,000 joules, most of the energy would be utilized by the secondary consumer. It will eat the primary consumer, and this energy would be utilized by the body. And only 10% of that energy, according to the landman, only 10% of the energy would be remaining in that very body. Only 100 joules would be available in the secondary consumer. And tertiary consumer will get only 10% of this very 100 joule. That is only 10 joules. So what is the pyramid of energy actually talking about? It is giving an idea that amount of energy at each tropic level varies, with a high amount of the energy present at the lower level and very least amount of the energy present at the top level. This is all about the pyramid of energy. Simple as the case where I have explained in the flow of the energy topic, that how energy flows and how much energy is flows. On the base of that very point, the energy pyramid of energy can be constructed. It says you that how much energy is available at each tropic level, and how it varies as you move from low tropic level to the high tropic level. Producers have high amount of energy available, but primary consumers have less energy compared to the producers, and secondary consumers got very less amount of the energy compared to primary consumer, and tertiary consumers have very less amount of the energy compared to secondary consumer, and top consumers have very least amount of the energy compared to the tertiary consumer or compared to the secondary consumer. So this is all about the pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy is always upright, that's why, because energy flow is unidirectional. So energy pyramid formed can also be erected. It cannot be inverted because energy flows from low tropic level to the high tropic level. This is all about the pyramid of energy, the pyramid of biomass, and the pyramid of the number. And what is pyramid? This is all about. I hope the concept would be very, very clear to you guys. And I will give you a brief overview about the environment and the functions of the environment, the components of the environment. So environment, what is environment? Is your surrounding. Simply, environment is your surrounding, and in your surrounding are present both biotic components as well as abiotic components. Among the biotic components, the biotic components include autotrophs. It includes the heterotrophs. It also includes the decomposers. As you know, the autotrophs are also called producers. It means that they are those living organisms which are able to synthesize their own food, and they will synthesize their food with the help of the photosynthesis. And what is photosynthesis? I have already explained it. That photosynthesis is the process by which the light energy is being trapped by the sunlight, by the plants, green plants, and this light energy is being converted into the chemical energy, and chemical energy is in the form of either ATP or GTP or other reducing agents such as NADPH. And finally, these reducing agents or these energy currencies are being converted are being utilized to fix the CO2 molecules in order to produce the carbohydrates and other energy sources utilized by the plant. So this is about the what is autotrophs, what is and what is photosynthesis. So next in the line, in the environment, in the biotic component is the heterotrophs. It means the consumers. Consumers means those organisms which cannot synthesize their own food. It means that they cannot synthesize their own food. It means that they depend upon the other sources, such as they depend upon the producers. So simply, it means that based on the source of the nutrition, the consumers are further classified into primary consumers, then secondary consumers, then tertiary consumers. Primary consumers feed upon the producers, and secondary consumers feed upon primary consumers, and tertiary consumers feed upon the secondary consumers, and top consumers feed upon the tertiary consumers. With the help of the examples, I have explained it with reference to giving an example such as the plants, and plants next plant is where I have explained the grasshopper, and grasshopper then frog, and frog then snake, and then snake then the hawk. These were the examples. And next in the line, apart from heterotrophs, are consumers, where the decomposers. The decomposers are those microorganisms because they are very, very minute in size, such as bacteria, such as some worms are there, which utilizes the dead plants and animals, which decomposes those dead animals, which decompose those dead plants in order to get their food, because of the fact that they decompose the dead animals and plants. They are also called environmental cleaning agents because they clean the environment. Second and one most important function the decomposers is they enhance the fertility of the soil, because they break down the complex organic molecules within that dead body of the either plant or animal, and convert them into the nutrients, and those nutrients are finally mixed in the soil, and in this way they enhance the fertility of the soil. So this is all about the biotic components, including autotrophs, then consumers, then decomposers. Next in the line in this which I have explained in the previous videos as well as in this video, it is the interaction between different living organisms as far as nutrition is concerned. What is different interaction? And I have shown that within the diagram that the autotrophs are being eaten by the heterotrophs. The autotrophs are being eaten by primary consumers, and those primary consumers are finally eaten by secondary consumers, and secondary consumers are finally eaten by the tertiary consumers, and tertiary consumers are finally eaten by top consumers. So literally there is the transfer of the energy from one trophic level to the other trophic level, as I have explained in the previous videos, that how the transfer occurs, how much energy is actually transferred. I have explained in the previous videos. It is based on, I have explained it on the base of Lindman's 10% law. According to the Lindman, that only 10% of the total energy is transferred when primary consumer feeds upon producer, or when secondary consumer eats upon the primary consumer. Only 10% of the total energy is transferred. Rest of the energy is utilized by the body, or rest of the energy is dissipated as a heat. So this is all about 10% law. After that, we explained that what are pyramids, what is the food chain, and what is food web. The food chain process in which the organisms are being eaten, organisms eats another organisms, and they themselves are being eaten by another organism. So in the food chain, one organism eats the other organism, and one organism eats the previous one, and this very organism is again eaten by the next organism. So it is the eats and being eaten process. It is the eat and being eaten process. Simply being eaten and eat. They eat. Suppose primary consumer eat the autotrophs, and it itself is being eaten by the secondary consumer, and this secondary consumer is also eaten by the tertiary consumer. This is the food chain. In the food chain, there is a transfer of the energy from low trophic level to high trophic level. Again, I have mentioned there, and this is again I am mentioning that in this this food chain is utilized in the narrow sense. Actually is the food web which gives you accurate information. According to the food web, then organism in a trophic level, it is not necessary that only one organism in the next trophic level will eat it. I have explained it with reference to giving example of frog. Frog is eaten by the snake, but snake is the not only living organism which eats the frog. Frog is being eaten by other animals as well, by other living organisms as well. This makes you a web of the food. This is called the food web. In food web, the transfer efficiencies is different. The transfer efficiencies which I have explained in the previous videos, you can see over it. Now in the next level, what I have explained as far as this environment is concerned, that is the pyramids. What are pyramids? The graphical representation. The graphical representation of the transfer of the energy. The graphical representation of the transfer of the energy from low level to the high level. Those are explained one by one in this video. Suppose the pyramid of energy and the pyramid of the number, the pyramid of biomass, I have explained in this video. Please look over it. If there will be any doubt in your mind, go through books. It is very easy to understand. And thank you very much.